Hey, everybody. I'm Chris Metzler, one of the programmers at SF DocFest. Thanks for being here. Um, as some of you might have heard my spiel already, this is the 25th anniversary of SF DocFest. When our founder, Jeff Ross, founded the festival, he just said, there's something cool happening in the documentary film world, and I want to show these films to the Bay Area. I don't think he knew that he'd be running a film festival 25 years later. But each year we run across lots of great films from around the world, and we get a chance to bring them here. And sometimes you luck in the submissions, and not only do you see a great film, but it's also a film that's made by a Bay Area filmmaker. And so we're lucky enough here to have Dana here. Welcome, Dana.
Hi, thank you for having me.
And she's been at DocFest a few times over the years. And we also have Freddie. Welcome, Freddie.
Thank you. Thank you for having me as well.
Very cool. It's such a great film. Before watching it, it's like you just don't know what to expect, but you're kind of prepped for having this great ride. Maybe a good place to start is, Dana, what was the catalyst for you to decide to make this film? And Freddie, when Dana started approaching you, like, did you have any reticence about, being on camera and like sharing your story?
No. In a quick question, no, absolutely not. I mean, the fact that we could get the workout, uh, give publicity to like what we doing was very heartfelt to me. So I was willing to ride whatever camel, whether it was a one hump or two. You understand? Put me on it, and I'll just learn how to maneuver it as we go. So that's where I was.
I might have to borrow that metaphor, Freddie. And Dana,
Yeah,
how did you first hear about Freddie and decide to take the leap of faith?
yeah. So my business partner, Chelsea Matter, and I wanted to make a short film last year. And we really didn't have a subject matter in mind. We were like wide open to the world. And so every Wednesday we would pitch each other. And one week she brought me this article that she read about Freddie. And I said, "Oh yeah, if we can find him and he'll talk to us, let's get on a call like ASAP." And we did, and just like this call, you'll see like you just want to talk to Freddie more and more and more. His story is so compelling in every way, and so relatable. Even if you can't relate to what he went through, you relate. I think all of us relate to wanting second chances, wanting an opportunity to better ourselves, and we think that Freddie encapsulates that. And we were on the road right away.
Very cool. And this is question kind of popped in my mind. I'm kind of curious, Freddie. When you're like at a backyard barbecue, or like do people have like when you let them know about the work that you're doing? What's the kind of first reaction people have?
The first action is I think that is so great. That's one of them, and then when they find out where like where I began in doing this, they be like, "You didn't have anything else you wanted to do with your life," you know. But it's a mixture of things. But I think um, people genuinely have a good feeling about wanting to do good things, and sometimes they can't. But they vicariously live through other people that may do it. So when they hear about what I'm doing, it's like, how can we help? I think it's a wonderful thing that you're doing, and people coming out need that second chance opportunity. It's a lot of things. So I got to get something to keep my battery from freezing here.
Yeah, no worries. Well,
Yeah.
the thing
But
that it
yeah,
made
that's basically the overwhelming comments from people when they hear about what we're doing, and I'm definitely gratified by all that because uh, there are few opportunities where people get to do what I'm doing and then have the exposure that I do in doing it. So yeah. So did I
yeah,
lose? Did I lose?
we're still there.
Okay. All right. I'm here. There you
This is
go.
part of the punk rock Q&A part.
Yeah.
Well, the thing that I thought was like really cool about the film, Dana, is that, one is it gives people an opportunity to kind of reach out to somebody like Freddie or somebody in our community and decide to support it. But I also think it's very inspiring, right? So even if, let's say, we might not do what you're doing, Freddie, it kind of makes you want to just like make a difference in the world in whatever way you can, and that's just a really beautiful thing, so one of my takeaways from the film is like Freddie, it seems like some of the work you do in some ways it's like you're a storyteller too, just like Dana's a storyteller, as a filmmaker. And so I was wondering, yeah, like what was the process like in kind of collaborating on this, and did you know what you were going to share, Dana, when you first started off, or how much of it was kind of seeing where things went?
Well, I'd like to say I'm one of those filmmakers that like wings everything, but that would be an absolute lie. I plan a lot out. I mean, we're usually worried about money, so we don't want to just go happenstance into things. So we were pretty sure we wanted it to be a road trip movie, and we wanted it to be as best as possible one pickup. Because we find sometimes, I love all movies about this space, but sometimes I find that they get away, there's too many people in them. And so I've lost the plot a little. I can't remember. And so I wanted it to be super duper simple. Freddie and one pickup if possible. And then we met Chili, the first guy that Freddie ever got out. And he was so compelling. I was like, okay, I'll add Chili, but that's it. And so we wanted that. And I guess the biggest thing, wait, everybody's going to have seen it, right? By the time they would listen to this. Yeah. Okay. So one of the things that kind of came up wasn't in the way we shot it, but it occurred to me, I think on that day we shot it, that we had this opportunity here to hold Freddie's backstory till the end. And so, and then once I kind of came up with that in my head, I was like, oh, wait, that has to be the way we tell it. It can't, it's no question. But the reason we wanted to do it was because, Freddie isn't given that opportunity for most of his life, right? Like if he applies for, I'm talking about you like you're not here. If you apply for a job, you have to lead with that. If on all these different times that are important, he's not given that option. So I was like, that's the beauty of being a filmmaker is you make the story the way you want to make it. And I was worried about it in some respects because I thought for, people with the short attention span that we might lose them before they got to the really emotional climax. But we kind of all decided, no, we have to take that leap. And even if we lose some people, it'll make the punch better for the others. And I love that because you get to know Freddie as I describe him as this like lovable, affable grandpa before you know about his history. And that is what it is. It's history. It's not right now. So.
Yeah.
That's cool. Well, that's neat. It's like, then get to tell the story the way that, gets the point across that you want, let alone, I mean, it's just, like anything, not to use a trite metaphor, but, we all, pull back, the layers of the onion in our own lives. And like, there's folks that like, as you get a chance to spend more time with people, which is, I think, great without there not being the film not being overstuffed with so many people, is that you get a chance to just kind of really marinate in the situation. So I have a question for you, Freddie. Like when you first started doing this work, did you kind of like did you start in a certain kind of perspective and did you have to kind of pivot in different ways based on like how people responded? Like how much of it was like a learning process of like what was effective or how you wanted to do it? Or did you just come to it naturally? Because you just seem so at ease, and, it like your vibe is just so great.
Well, I think like I often tell people this reentry thing is it's an organism. Okay, like it's not just people. You opening up the door, people coming out, and then they're out. Oh, I'm free, or I'm at liberty again. No, reentry is it's an adjustment process. It's an acclimating yourself back into your community or another community. It's re-socializing with people. It's your own life story of trading places. A life inside to a life outside. What those dynamics mean to a given person. I mean, there was a lot of things that I brought out of prison into my outside life that I didn't even think about, like taking my plate up from the table and going to the garbage can and emptying it, something, wearing my shower shoes into the shower. And or any, all kinds of like little nuances of prison life. But I've always worked in prison, doing volunteer work on some type of level. I grew into meeting at the door because of the pandemic, and they
Mm.
stopped our organization from being able to go in and conduct discussions with inmates. We went into like maybe 20 or 30 prisons across the state, and when the pandemic hit, it knocked all that out because that was the only service that we actually had under the Yo Fellowship Prison Ministry. And I said to myself, I said, it's got to be a way, to continue to have a presence, have a footprint on the prison system in what we do. And my faith is Christianity, and from that position, I just said I knew that there was a lot of things that guys didn't have when they came out, and I said, you know what, it'd be nice to be there for them when they come out with something that reminded them that people still cared, that they weren't alone. You understand that they didn't have to have something to trade off for the service and stuff that we were, going to provide. And I just threw it out there to a few people that I had been associated with in the first couple of years that I was out. And one of the guys that was a part of our Yo Fellowship Prison Ministry said, I like this idea, and he gave us about $4,000, and that covered what we told them we wanted to provide for guys, which was some clothing, a phone, a meal, and then basically, taking them to wherever, their parole destination was. And we just did it. A couple of other people I was associated with, Sam Whitehouse was a guy, my pastor, Reverend William Jones. They all just came alongside, and we just started doing it. And we've been doing it for almost the last 4.5 years now.
So cool.
Yeah.
And so, as we wrap things up, one of the things I always try to remind, our audiences at film festivals, but we're so lucky that, filmmakers and, share their films so early in their career with us or in their life cycle. And so our job is that for the films that move us is to kind of become like the grassroots street team, kind of representing Dana and Freddie out there in the world. So what's a good way to kind of people can continue to follow each of your efforts, and then also just kind of like point people to, say, hey, I saw this great movie, you need to be on the lookout for it?
Oh, that's so nice. Also, I want to say, Freddie, what's your number now that you're at of how many pickups?
About 130.
What? Oh my
Yeah.
God. Okay. So that's
Yeah.
crazy, right? I just wanted to make sure we got that in. So yeah, we're trying to engage a lot on Instagram, under the Second Life of Freddie Nole, on Facebook, on TikTok. We're trying, we're going to festivals, and we want to get this story out everywhere because 600,000 people return from prison every single year. That's millions of people over the last, decades. And we just think that second chances are important for everyone, and we want everybody to be on this ride with us. Right, Freddie? Anything else?
Yeah. No, listen, I think the biggest thing that I think this film would do, if it points out the struggles that people have coming out of prison, is that just that reentry. Don't you can't say it's just reentry. You gotta say it's a job, it's a house. You understand? It's a support network. It's filling up all the deficiencies that people suffer when they're cut off from a real society. It's the same thing with people that go to war. They come home, and we want to deal with the traumatic experiences that they may have happen, having to reconstruct their lives uh, to living in a war zone versus a regular society. And we want to do
Mhm.
that for prisoners. You understand? Let them understand that society is not the prison life. You understand? They're back in the real world where there are people that care about them. There are people that if they ask questions, they're going to listen to them and try to find answers and not just say, no, 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 no. It's not my problem. It's that person's problem. Oh, this ain't in my wheelhouse. Or, I don't get paid to do this. These are the things that I'm hoping that I can educate the public that sees this, the people that I'm able to talk to, maybe even get out there a little more into the general community and talk about reentry. As I've often said to Dana, and this has been so much a part of my life. This has been my growing tool, as you might say. I've been involved in criminal justice on many levels of my incarceration and since I've been out, and it's something that I feel as though I have a great deal of knowledge about. I have and not just the knowledge, but the practical aspect of working in those different fields. So, yeah, just a basic education of how you can be involved and what you can do and what some of these needs are of people coming out of prison that society in general might have to face.
Very cool. Thank you. Thanks for the work you do out there, Freddie. Really appreciate it. Dana, thanks again for sharing the film. And folks,
Yeah,
search out the Second Life of Freddie Nole out there on Instagram and other social media. Have a great day,
Thank
guys.
you so much
yeah,
for
thank
having
you.
us. We're really
Appreciate it.
honored.
Yeah, thank you. Appreciate you, man. Thank you
Well,
for the
definitely
help.
appreciate it. And thanks for being part of the SF Doc Fest.
Yes.
We love